Everyone, it's Bree. I'm back with another scrapbook process video for the SpiegelMom Scraps design team, and I'm super excited to share this layout with y'all today. I am going to be using one of the new cut files for February that is offered by SpiegelMom Scraps. This specific one is called Snowball Fight, and you can get this by going to the SpiegelMom Scraps blog, and on the right side of the toolbar, if you just go ahead and sign up for the newsletter, you'll be able to get this for free along with another one. And I'm trying to remember which one it is, but there should be two free cut files. So this one and another one. When I had seen it, when Jody had sent these cut files to us, sparklers, I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I want to fill it with sequins, or I want to make a shaker with this specific cut file. So I actually just filled it with sequins. I didn't do a shaker, and I love how it turned out. So I've got some pattern paper, and I believe this one specifically is by Paint Fresh Studio, and it's from the Everyday Musings collection. I got it in my recent Hip Kit Club kit for this month, and it's pretty bold and busy, so I wanted to tone it down with some gesso. So I am just adding some on, like a thin layer. It ends up covering a lot of it up, so the majority that you can see is a lot of the white gesso, and I didn't mind. I thought it made everything stand out off of the green. It kind of created like its own barrier. I knew I wanted to add a lot of mixed media, so that's why I added so much gesso. And I wanted it to come up from underneath the cut file because I knew that I didn't want to back it. I wanted my mixed media to kind of show through each hole in the cut file. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with some shimmers. The first one is a Colorings in Mama Sings the Blues. And I'm just doing the packaging technique only because I've got such a large area that I wanted to add the color on, and I thought it would go faster. So I am just spreading the color, and for some reason my nozzle is leaking, unfortunately, on my new shimmers, but I got it to work, and I kind of just added some water here and there to help spread the color around. And let's see. Oh, and in the beginning, I am so impatient. I didn't let my gesso dry, so some of it did get picked up, but it didn't bother me at all. I had so much on there, it was okay. Okay, so I let this dry, and I am adding a second color, and it's a Shimmers Spritz in Tuscan Sun, and it's this really pretty golden yellow. The Everyday Musings collection has a lot of these colors, like the blues and the greens and some purples and kind of like a, not a fuchsia, but kind of like a berry, I guess, color. And I'll be adding that like more berry color here in just a second. So I just spread the yellow around as well, and I'm gonna let this, I don't know if I'm gonna let it dry in between. I did get out my heat tool here and there, and then I am sopping up some of it because, of course, like I said, I am impatient. So here I'm going in with another Shimmers, and it's a Vibes, and it's in Razzle Dazzle Berry. And I wanted to add just a little bit to peek out from underneath the cut file as well. And yes, this does, excuse me, look like a mess, but it all comes together once I add everything on top of it. But I had a lot of fun creating the background. I just kept going for it, and I was just free with it and just adding all the color and spreading it around. It's like one of my favorite things to do is work on my background. All right, so I've got my cut file pasted down, and I think at this point I added stitching. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty hard, and I don't have a lot of practice on my sewing machine, so having to go through all of these wonky circles with my sewing machine, it was a challenge, and it's not perfect. Like if you go look at some of my close-ups, you can see that it's very wonky, and sometimes I got off on I didn't get perfectly around each circle, and like, to be honest, I was going to like scrap the whole thing because of the stitching. It wasn't perfect, but I thought I gave it character, and I thought if I gave up at that point, like, what a waste. And you know, with all my work on my background and all that, and I thought, you know what, I am creating this, and it does give it some character. It did add the texture that I wanted it to add, so I was happy with it. Like, I was pleased. I just kept going. and kept doing it. So yeah, so I added the stitching, and then I'm going through my project life cards that I got in my kit, and I'm pulling some of the colors that match. And the sequin mix that I'm going to be working with today is called Lush Greenery, and it's part of the February release for SpiegelMom Scraps, and it is super pretty. It's got a lot of greens and blues and some leaves, and it's got a lot of, I think there's like a navy blue in there. It almost looks black, but it is navy. And it's got some yellows in there, and it matched perfectly with the Musings, Everyday Musings collection. Um, and I'm using the photo of my oldest son. He, this is when we were living back in Orange County in California, and I think that day was probably maybe 50 degrees or 60 degrees. And at the mall that we used to go to down in Irvine, it's called the Spectrum. Well, they would they would bring an ice skating rink, like right in the middle of the ice. So, not the ice, right in the middle of the mall. So you can go ice skating. And we took my son there, and he, unfortunately, his little skates got cut off. But I know what this photo's from. And so I had snapped this photo of him getting ready to go ice skating, and I've been wanting to scrapbook it, and I'm super excited that I'm finally able to do so. So my title that I've created, or I'm creating right now, excuse me, is called, not called, it's going to say, Yay, it's ice skating day. And he had such a good time. I didn't get to go out on the ice with him. I had to stay down, or stay back with my youngest. Elijah was probably barely 1 at this time, because I think this was taken in 2008, right before we got transferred to San Antonio. But anyways, yeah, so I'm using the thickers. I don't know, I forget what line that's from. I don't know, I think it's from that new crepe paper like birthday line that is somewhat newer. But yeah, so those are that's the Yay word. That's what I got from that set. And then the It's is a Pink Fresh Studio Alpha, and then Ice Skating Day are some chipboard thickers. And I love that font. And those chipboard thickers that I wrote Ice Skating Day, they're really skinny and thin, and I love them so much. They're so pretty. Okay, so I'm going through the ephemera, and I realize now that I don't think no, I did add like a tag, excuse me, and then an ephemera piece that will say time for fun. And it's not an ephemera piece, it's a puffy sticker. Okay, so I'm adding some foam adhesive to the back of my photo. Excuse me, I'm so sorry for my voice if I'm like sound scratchy, or I'm talking softly. Our weather has changed drastically over the last week, and I think it's allergies on top of that, and I don't know. I know I'm not getting sick, but my throat hurts just really bad, so I apologize for that. All right, so the fun part comes is where I'm adding in all my sequins, and this is a technique that I love to do, that I've done on some prior design team layouts for SpiegelMom Scraps. I take some Scotch tacky glue, and I add a thin layer, and then I pour some sequins on, so it looks like the sequins are just sitting there. And I like to put them on a cut file, so it looks like it could be a shaker, but you know, there's no window and they're kind of just out in the open. But I love this sequin mix. It's so pretty, and I love the blues and the deep greens, and I was so excited to know that it matched with this new collection when I was going through the new release for this month. All right, so I'm just adding my little clusters. I've got my little craft spoon there that has become a lifesaver, because I tend to have a lot of static. I know sometimes you know, people add lotion, or I would rub my little powder tool on my hands to help with the sticking, because they tend to stick. The sequins tend to stick to my fingers, but that spoon has totally come in handy. So I got my little crystal katana to help me make sure that my sequins were kind of all in the glue and sticking. And I think that's it. Oh, and I put aside those little sunbursts, because they didn't really go with my layout, and I wanted to save them for a different project. All right, I've got those stickers out, and I added one that says yes to this, And let's see, yeah, this is where I add this little tag. And then I was going to add Pure Joy. And you'll see me here in just a second. I'm going to put glue on the back of it, and then I stop and change my mind, only because the Yay sticker in my title has silver on it. And I didn't want to add gold because then it just clashed to me. And I wanted to add the silver stars that also came with the foam stickers with like the same package from the Yay um, saying. So yeah, I didn't add Pure Joy, and that's why I added a puffy sticker. And then I'm like, oh no. And then this is where I kind of go through to see what I can add, and then I look at the puffy stickers and saw time for fun, because it was time for fun. He was so excited. He was like, hurry, take my picture so I can go ice skate. And yeah, it was right before Christmas, and it was such a good day. We love hanging out at that mall. If you're ever in the Irvine area, vacationing or visiting, or I'm sure anybody that lives in California, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, so I added this heart that says hello, and that's from Pink Fresh Studio. And then I'm going in with these glitter stars that I talked about before. And let's see, what else am I adding? Oh, I add these Chamel enamel shapes. I am adding more stars in the blue and green and yellow. There we go. And I think after that, I just add some, oh no, I'm going to add a little bit of stamping. In our Hip Kit Club kits for this month, we got 2 stamp sets. One's the Heidi Swap memory planner or planner stamp set, and then the other one is the Chamel stamp set. So I am using the Chamel one, and I pulled the stars, and I'm going to randomly stamp these little cluster of stars into some of the empty spaces on my cut file. And then, let's see, and I'm using Close to My Heart black ink, and I'm adding I think I put Irvine, yeah, California, December 2008, and then just a quick little note, and that about does it. There's my code Brianna15 to save you 15% off of your next order. My final layout is right here. I had so much fun creating this. Don't forget, you can grab this cut file over on the blog, as well as check out the February release. This sequin mix again is called Lush Greenery. Thanks so much for watching, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.